listen to me. There are 3 things every smart woman must always keep to herself when it comes to men, and I don't care how much you love him, how much you trust him, or how long you've been together, because the truth is this: the moment you give everything away, you lose your power, and I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to wake you up. These 3 things are your leverage, your confidence, and your control, and if you let them slip, you hand over your worth. Today, I'm going to break down exactly what they are and why keeping them hidden will change the way men see you forever. When it comes to relationships, emotions are the most powerful tool we carry, but they can also be the most dangerous weapon we give away if we are not careful. One of the greatest mistakes a woman can make with a man is to hand over every ounce of her emotional world, every thought, every feeling, every insecurity, as if vulnerability alone guarantees connection. The truth is, it doesn't. When you reveal all your emotions too quickly, what you're really doing is stripping away the very essence of what keeps respect, attraction, and curiosity alive. Men are not drawn to complete exposure. They are drawn to a balance, to the strength of a woman who knows how to share without surrendering everything. Think about the times when you've met someone who put all their emotions on the table too soon. Instead of inspiring closeness, it often creates overwhelm, and overwhelm doesn't build desire, it destroys it. There's a difference between being emotionally intelligent and being emotionally excessive. Emotional intelligence means you know yourself, you can communicate effectively, and you can build trust through your words and actions. Emotional excess, on the other hand, is when you treat a relationship like an emotional dumping ground, expecting a man to carry, manage, or fix every single feeling you have. The first builds respect. The second drains it. Respect in any relationship comes from balance, and balance requires boundaries. Men respect what they can't fully possess, and when you hold part of yourself back, not out of fear but out of wisdom, you protect your dignity and your value. Mystery is not manipulation, it's a form of self-respect. It means you understand that not every tear, not every doubt, not every storm inside your heart needs to be revealed. Some of those emotions are yours to process, yours to heal, and yours to learn from. When you show a man that you can regulate yourself, that you don't need to hand him every single emotional burden, you show him strength, and strength is magnetic. Men are not wired to chase weakness. They are wired to admire resilience. When you give away all your emotions, you remove the opportunity for him to wonder, to work for you, to lean into the relationship with his own effort. Holding back just enough keeps the dynamic alive. Now, let's be clear, this is not about being cold or shutting down. This is not about being fake. Authenticity is critical, but authentic does not mean unfiltered. Authentic means truthful while still discerning. You can be real without being reckless. For example, if you're frustrated, you don't need to spiral into an emotional explosion. You can express it clearly, calmly, with confidence. If you're feeling sad, you can share that in a way that opens connection without demanding that he carry the entire weight of your sadness. This is where self-control comes into play. Men respect women who know themselves well enough to draw that line. The moment you begin to hand over every emotion without pause, you shift the power dynamic. You send the message, whether you realize it or not, that your stability is dependent on his reaction. And when a man feels that kind of responsibility too soon or too often, it doesn't create closeness. It creates distance. He feels the pressure to become your anchor, when what truly inspires him is a woman who can anchor herself. By showing him that you can manage your emotions with grace and strength, you actually invite him to step closer, not pull away. Because he knows he's with someone who doesn't collapse at every wave, but someone who stands tall through them. That is where respect grows, and with respect comes deeper love and commitment. Insecurities are part of being human, and every woman carries them in some form. The danger comes when you make the mistake of placing your deepest insecurities in the hands of a man, expecting him to soothe them, validate them, or erase them. The reality is, no one can do that for you. The moment you expose your most fragile places without discernment, you hand over the very power that makes you confident, and confidence is the one thing men can't resist. Confidence is what keeps you attractive, respected, and valued. Insecurities, on the other hand, if laid bare too often or too quickly, can create cracks in how he sees you, not because you're unworthy, but because you've made your worth dependent on his response. A man will only respect what you respect in yourself if you constantly confess every insecurity, whether it's about your body, your intelligence, your worthiness, or your past. You are teaching him to see you through the same lens of doubt you see yourself. And once you give him that lens, it becomes very hard for him to look at you any other way. That's why it is crucial to guard your insecurities and work on them privately, instead of turning them into open wounds inside your relationship. When you keep those parts of yourself protected, you preserve the image of strength, self-assurance, and mystery that makes a man want to lean into you instead of pull away. This does not mean you have to pretend to be perfect. Nobody is asking you to hide your humanity, but there is a difference between being real and being reckless with what you share. Being real means you acknowledge you're not flawless, but you show up with the confidence of someone who is still worthy despite it. Being reckless means you pour out every insecurity like a confession, hoping for reassurance, when in reality it only erodes attraction. A man does not want to feel like your therapist or your savior. He wants to feel like your partner. He wants to admire you, not manage your self-doubt. When you keep your insecurities private, you give yourself the space to work on them in your own way, without putting the weight of them on the relationship. This is how you build self-respect. You learn to face your own shadows and transform them into growth, instead of asking someone else to carry them for you. And when a man sees a woman doing this, when he notices that she has insecurities but she's strong enough not to make them the center of her identity, he respects her even more, because that kind of strength is rare. That kind of strength is magnetic. Confidence is not the absence of insecurity, it's the ability to rise above it, and that is what a man finds irresistible. He doesn't need to know every thought that keeps you up at night. He doesn't need to know every scar you carry from the past. What he needs to see is that you own yourself, that you believe in yourself enough not to let insecurities rule your life. By protecting your deepest vulnerabilities, you preserve your power. And when you preserve your power, you maintain the balance in your relationship that keeps him respecting, admiring, and pursuing you. Financial independence is one of the most important things a woman should always keep safeguarded, because money is not just about numbers, it is about freedom, choice, and control. When you hand over complete access to your financial situation, or worse, rely entirely on a man to provide for you, you unintentionally put yourself in a position where your independence can be compromised. A woman who controls her own finances controls her own life. It's not about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. It's about ensuring that your foundation cannot be shaken by anyone else's decisions or behaviors. When a man knows that you have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet financially, the respect he feels for you multiplies, because it signals that you are with him by choice, not out of necessity. There is a dangerous trap many women fall into, believing that love means merging everything, including their finances, and that dependency is a natural extension of trust. But the truth is, dependency creates imbalance. When you cannot make financial decisions on your own, when you don't have the security of your own savings, or when your well-being is tied entirely to what someone else provides, you lose leverage. And leverage in a relationship is not about manipulation, it's about balance. When 2 people are together because they want to be, not because one needs the other to survive, the relationship is stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling. A man may admire your beauty, your kindness, and your heart, but he will respect your independence. He will respect the fact that you do not need him to live, you choose him to share your life with. That difference changes the entire dynamic. A woman who holds her financial independence signals strength, intelligence, and foresight. She cannot be controlled, she cannot be manipulated, and she cannot be trapped in situations that do not serve her. That confidence, that ability to walk away if necessary, is what gives you true power. It is also about protecting your future. Life is unpredictable, and relationships, no matter how solid they may seem, can change. If you have no financial independence, you risk losing more than love if things fall apart. You risk losing stability, security, and even your sense of self. But when you have control over your money, you carry with you the safety net that ensures no matter what happens, you are never left powerless. This doesn't just protect you from hardship. It gives you peace of mind in the present, allowing you to love freely because you know your stability does not depend on another person. Men are often drawn to women who know their value, and part of knowing your value is knowing that your worth cannot be tied to what someone else provides. When you protect your finances, you send the message that you are equal, that you are capable, and that you are with him not because you must, but because you choose to. That is far more powerful than dependence. And in the long run, it creates a partnership where respect flows both ways. By guarding your financial independence, you not only protect your freedom, you strengthen the foundation of your relationship because it is built on choice, not control. The past is something every person carries, but not every part of it should be shared. A woman must understand that revealing every detail of her history, every mistake, every heartbreak, and every regret does not build intimacy the way she might believe. What it often does is create unnecessary judgment, or worse, a weapon that could be used against her. Men do not need to know every chapter of your past to respect and love you. They need to see the woman you are today. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you, and when you overshare it, you unintentionally allow it to overshadow the present and dictate how someone perceives you. When you meet a man, he is most interested in who you are right now and who you are becoming. If you make your past the centerpiece of your conversations, you lock yourself into an identity that may not even be true anymore. For example, telling stories about failed relationships, mistakes you regret, or experiences that left scars might feel like honesty, but it can plant seeds of doubt or insecurity in his mind. It may cause him to question your decisions, your judgment, or even your worth, not because you are unworthy, but because you voluntarily put those doubts on the table. Protecting your past is not about lying or pretending. It is about choosing what deserves to be shared and what deserves to be left where it belongs. In the past, there is also a power in mystery. When you withhold certain details, you allow a man to focus on the woman standing in front of him instead of dissecting the woman you used to be. He doesn't need to know every mistake you made in your 20s, every heartbreak that left you shattered, or every wrong turn that taught you a lesson. Those are for you to keep because they are part of your growth, not part of your identity in the present. By protecting your past, you are not being deceptive, you are being wise. You are creating space for a relationship that is built on who you are now, not weighed down by ghosts of what used to be. It is also important to realize that not every man has the maturity to hold your past without judgment. Even if he loves you, he may not understand how to process certain details, and instead of bringing you closer, it may create distance. Why risk sabotaging your present with truths that no longer matter? The most powerful thing you can do is show him through your actions and your presence that you are a woman of strength, resilience, and wisdom that speaks louder than any story about who you used to be. Your future is what deserves the spotlight, not your past. A man who is truly right for you will be inspired by your vision, your goals, and the direction you are moving in. That is where attraction deepens. That is where respect grows. When you keep your past in its proper place, you give him the gift of seeing you as you are now, without the filter of old mistakes or scars. You show him that you are not defined by where you came from, but by where you are going. And that is far more powerful far more magnetic and far more lasting than any confession about your history could ever be. Availability is one of the most underestimated aspects of attraction, and yet it is one of the most powerful. When a woman gives all of her time, all of her attention, and all of her presence to a man without boundaries, she begins to lose value in his eyes, not because she is less worthy, but because what is always accessible is rarely appreciated. Human nature is wired to crave what is not easily obtained. Men respect and admire women who have their own lives, their own passions, their own goals, and their own priorities. When you make yourself too available, you send the message that you have nothing else going on, that your world revolves around him, and that message slowly erodes both respect and desire. Think about the people in your life whom you admire most. Chances are they are individuals who have focus, ambition, and direction. They are not always easy to reach, and that makes their time and attention more meaningful. The same principle applies in relationships. A woman who sets boundaries around her availability shows that she values herself. She communicates that her time is precious, her energy is important, and her world does not shrink just because a man has entered it. That stance does not push men away. It draws them in. It creates a sense of value around you because you are not giving yourself away in unlimited supply. Men are naturally drawn to challenge. If everything about you is predictable, if every moment of your day can be accessed without hesitation, the dynamic becomes stale. This does not mean you play games or act distant for no reason. It means you live your life fully with purpose, and you allow the man to step into it rather than making him the entire center of it. A woman who is busy pursuing her dreams, maintaining her friendships, investing in her growth, and prioritizing her well-being has a natural allure. She doesn't need to fabricate mystery because her life already contains it. She has things going on that he must earn the right to be part of, and that keeps him engaged and invested. The danger of full availability is that it breeds complacency. When a man knows he can reach you at any hour, when he knows you will always say yes no matter what, when he senses that you will cancel anything for him, he begins to take you for granted, not necessarily out of malice, but because people tend to undervalue what is guaranteed. The antidote is not coldness, but balance. Be warm, be loving, be supportive, but do it within the framework of your own priorities. Say yes when it aligns, say no when it doesn't, and don't feel guilty for protecting your time. That boundary is not rejection, it is self-respect. A woman who holds back her full availability becomes more desirable because she is demonstrating independence. She shows that she is a partner, not a possession. She shows that she has her own light and that a man must meet her where she is instead of pulling her entirely into his orbit. That kind of woman is irresistible because she cannot be controlled and she cannot be diminished. Her presence feels like a privilege, not an entitlement, and when a man sees her this way, when he understands that her time and energy are precious gifts, he cherishes them more deeply. Holding back your full availability is not about playing hard to get, it is about being hard to forget.